Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 and our chats with Emily, as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are in the Johnson edition. We turned out to poem 478, I Had No Time to Hate. It is an amazing first line, and in many ways we're back to our study of theodicy. Our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at LearnStrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily, our playlist. And if you've done that, then you know that in our introductory set of comments we said that we would be looking at these poems using what we call in Room 303 our Big Five. What does this text say about epistemology, what you can know, ontology, who you are and the study of being, psychology, the study of the individual mind, sociology, the study of the collective mind. And guys, you'll remember that the last of our Big Five was theodicy, the question of pain and suffering. And here we're asked maybe, what do you do with hate? We have another comparison poem, love versus hate. We've seen this a number of times. Note that the irony here is that there's not enough time to make a choice really to do either one without hedging your bets. This is how she says it. I had no time to hate because the grave would hinder me and life was not so ample I could finish enmity. Nor had I time to love, but since some industry must be, the little toil of love, I thought, be large enough for me. Now, this is a remarkable poem because she's asking about the question of time. How much time do we have in our lives to hate? By the way, this is our first use of the word hate in our study. I had no time to hate. By the way, we'll see hate again when we get to poem 1136. We hated death and hated life, and nowhere was to go. We're playing that kind of juxtaposition position of, okay, should you hate or should you love, and how much time do you have for either? Why don't you have time to hate? Well, because the grave, right? The grave would hinder me, and life was not so ample. In other words, there isn't enough time that I could finish the hate. Enmity, by the way, only used once in her poetry, and it's right here. But she says, not only did I not have time to hate, I didn't really have time to love either, right? For the same reason. In other words, there isn't enough time to hate fully, and there really isn't enough time to love fully. But I had to make a choice, since some industry must be. I gotta do one or the other. I gotta work. I gotta either love or hate. The little toil of life. You'll remember that we said, she loves this word little, ends up in 172 different poems. She says, the little toil of love. It's a brilliant line, the toil of love. I can't help but thinking about our study of Wordsworth's Lines Composed a Few Miles Above Tintern Abbey, where, what does he say greatness is? Little, nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and love. Certainly Emily's playing a similar game. The little toil of love, I thought this would maybe be, I believed, or maybe even like poem 234 and 470, I guess, be large enough. Notice the distinction between little and large enough for me. I think we will play this game when we start to study further poems in regards to what matters most, in regards to how do we find ourselves living in a world where we're trying to figure out exactly what is the best thing for us. And not always is it so easy to know. She'll say in poem 919, I've been reluctant to share too often this poem with you, but it's coming. And she says it this way: if I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life the aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin unto his nest again, I shall not live in vain. And I think this is the point of this poem. I think her argument at 2a is, life is too brief to spend it hating. But life is also too short to always accomplish all of love's ends. And yet, you got to do something, industry. So why not do the best you can to live as well as you can? At 2b, I love the single rhyme here of me, enmity, be, me. At 3a, to relate, I can't help but think of T.S. Eliot's classic line from East Coker 5, "Love is most nearly itself, and here and now cease to matter." And then, of course, Tintern Abbey for sure comes to mind. Finally, at 3B, what was a time when you had to choose love versus hate, and you chose, even though you couldn't do either completely, you chose at least love, because in the end, love is enough. Thank you.